Good morning. It is Friday, the 17th of April, 2020. I am Paula Ann Porter-Jones, and these are the latest stories from the Radio Jamaica News Center. Operations at the Ministry of Health's head office in New Kingston have been suspended after an employee tested positive for the coronavirus. Contact tracing at the head office has commenced, and some other members of staff, including the permanent secretary, Dunstan Bryan, have been home quarantined. A news release issued last night by the Health Ministry said the Kingston and St. Andrew Health Department will continue to interview and test other staff members who had close contact with the employee in the last 14 days. The ministry said, in keeping with its protocol for infection prevention and control, the decision was made to suspend operations at its head office today. The building will be sanitized. It is scheduled to reopen on Monday. The Ministry of Health is awaiting the results of an assessment at Sutherland Global Services on South Camp Road in Kingston amid a possible case of the coronavirus at the location. The Business Process Outsourcing Center closed its operations on Wednesday night. It is awaiting test results. Health Minister Dr. Christopher Tufton says Sutherland made the right decision to close.
From the public health perspective, the team has been alerted and the team are doing an assessment to determine what course of action to take. Remember now, this closure is just being cautious. So the assessment would bear that in mind and would be happy for that precautionary measure and would do whatever follow-up is required to ensure that we do not err on this and create a scenario that now exists in Portmore.
Health Minister Dr. Christopher Tufton. Employees of Sutherland Global Services have been asked to self-quarantine. During the period of closure, the site will be cleaned and fumigated. The police are alleging that some exempted persons in St. Catherine have been assisting non-essential workers to breach the lockdown, which was announced by the Prime Minister. It's reported that since the lockdown was imposed on Wednesday, several exempted individuals have been caught trying to transport non-essential persons out of St. Catherine. Head of the Jamaica Constabulary Force's Corporate Communication Unit, Senior Superintendent Stephanie Lindsay, says the unauthorized individuals were ordered to return home.
So those persons will be turned back, or the additional persons will be asked to exit the vehicles. So we just want persons to understand that they should just remain home. If they have questions, they call the 188 One Love number to get information and advice.
SSP Lindsay says some persons outside St. Catherine have been visiting residents of the parish to deliver essential items. She says persons entering St. Catherine will not be allowed to leave until the lockdown ends.
We know that there are persons who may have loved ones in there or relatives that they want to take supplies for. We understand. However, we are saying to individuals that if you take these supplies into the parish, then you are expected to remain there until the end of the lockdown. So that is something that you have to take into consideration when you make the decision to enter the parish during the lockdown.
Head of the Constabulary Force's Corporate Communication Unit, Senior Superintendent Stephanie Lindsay. As the St. Catherine lockdown to fight COVID-19 enters its third day, there is a split in opinion from Portmore's political and business leaders on arrangements for the second designated day of shopping tomorrow. Portmore's Mayor Leon Thomas is expecting another rush on food stores by residents seeking to stock up, while the Sunshine City Chamber of Commerce President Norman Walker expects a better day than Wednesday. They expressed their positions last night on TVJ's virtual town hall meeting. Mr. Walker says he has received feedback from store owners and operators who admitted they were not fully prepared for Wednesday. He expects them to fix those issues before tomorrow. In the meantime, the mayor of Portmore has a completely different expectation for shopping day in Portmore tomorrow.
I can tell you, everybody is going to have mad rush come Saturday to get food items because they already started to plan for 14 days lockdown, and there are some rumors that is also going on that the entire country is going to lockdown. So the people is going to make mad rush on the supermarket come Saturday.
Mayor of Portmore, Leon Thomas. And while the police have indicated they are prepared for tomorrow's shopping day in St. Catherine, they are appealing to residents to ensure the process is smooth. Head of the Jamaica Constabulary Force's Corporate Communication Unit, Senior Superintendent Stephanie Lindsay, says only the willingness of residents to comply with regulations and guidelines can guarantee better results than Wednesday. Sections of the parish descended into chaos due to the rush on food stores and overcrowded police checkpoints. The police have acknowledged that they learned a lot and will be better prepared tomorrow.
It's work in progress, so we would have learned from that experience. We looked at the gaps, but some of what we saw on Wednesday, those are not necessarily policing issues. It's more about indiscipline. It's more about people not obeying the guidelines. So you know that we have to focus on the critical areas that us in the Jamaica Constabulary Force must treat with. And we hope that even the persons who were looking on, the citizens, because in a situation like this, we can't rely solely on law enforcement to really make it better on Saturday. Persons have to be disciplined, just have to maintain the social distance. Maybe everybody doesn't need to come out on time, but we will be out there managing the traffic and doing as much as we can to the extent that we are able to utilize the resources that we have.
Head of the JCF's Corporate Communication Unit, Senior Superintendent Stephanie Lindsay. She was speaking last night on TVJ's virtual town hall meeting. Independent schools in Jamaica say they will have to resort to drastic action, including layoffs, as their revenues continue to dwindle due to the coronavirus pandemic. In the wake of the disruptions in the education sector, as the authorities try to limit the spread of the virus, Vice President of the Jamaica Independent Schools Association, Christopher Graham, says some of the members are now struggling to remain afloat. Mr. Graham says the payment of salaries is a major area of concern. Graham. And President of the Jamaica Independent Schools Association, Dr. Faith Lynn Wilson, says the group is seeking government subventions to plug funding deficits. Prime Minister Andrew Holness has responded to concerns raised yesterday by the Press Association of Jamaica about the orders which prohibited members of the media from moving about in St. Catherine during the period of the lockdown. It was announced yesterday evening that journalists and media workers will remain on the list of exempt persons. However, the media is expected to follow protocols to protect the identity and privacy of persons affected by the coronavirus, as well as health workers conducting contact tracing and testing. Special protocols will be proposed and discussed with the media to ensure that public health operations are not impeded during coverage. The Prime Minister says the protocols will also reinforce practices to ensure the personal safety of media personnel, persons affected by the coronavirus, and health personnel. As COVID-19 continues to spread across the U.S., President Donald Trump has given governors guidance on reopening state economies in the coming months. The guidelines outline 3 phases in which states can gradually ease their lockdowns. Mr. Trump promised governors they would be handling the process themselves with help from the federal government. Mr. Trump has suggested some states could reopen this month.
Based on the latest data, our team of experts now agrees that we can begin the next front in our war, which we're calling Opening Up America Again. And that's what we're doing. We're opening up our country, and we have to do that. America wants to be open, and Americans want to be open. As I've said for some time now, a national shutdown is not a sustainable long-term solution. To preserve the health of our citizens, we must also preserve the health and functioning of our economy.
U.S. President Donald Trump. The U.S. has more than 654,000 confirmed cases and 32,186 deaths due to the coronavirus. And now to end this newscast, the main points. Operations at the Ministry of Health's head office suspended after an employee tested positive for the coronavirus. Health Ministry awaiting results of an assessment at Sutherland Global Services on South Camp Road amid a possible case of the coronavirus at the location. Police alleging that some exempt persons in St. Catherine have been assisting non-essential workers to breach the lockdown. Independent schools in Jamaica considering drastic action, including layoffs, as their revenues continue to dwindle due to the coronavirus pandemic.